It's all perspective, people.
Well, yeah, you get used to whatever your setting is, you know.
Yeah,
and
you
that's
do.
like the movement, the new experience. That's why we love going on vacation. It allows us to let go. We're in a new place, so our mind's not saying, "I've been here before. I know exactly what's going on."
Yeah, it's funny. So Karen was born and raised in Scottsdale.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so what's funny is she loves to travel and go on vacation. I'm like, yeah. See, why do I like to travel? I'm like, let me explain something. I grew up in New York, right? They don't have palm trees, and even the sun is at best a haze, right? So when I moved out here, I literally moved to vacation.
I'm living a vacation.
And I swear, I've been out here 21 years. I still feel like I'm on vacation. So it's like,
Love that.
So Karen likes to travel. I'm like, yeah, but the laborious act of getting on an airplane and flying somewhere and, you know, making sure I always get on the airplane. And I realize I didn't download that podcast. Shit. You know, it's like, I get pissed.
Seriously, though.
Yeah. I'm like, damn it. I didn't download that podcast. I got a 5-hour flight to Maui. I'm like, freaking holy hell.
A lot of mental energy goes into traveling.
Yeah, it does. But
know?
I could just stay here and close my eyes and,
Travel from your couch.
yeah, and just pretend I'm in Maui. Kara's not buying into that, though. She just thinks I'm a freaking nutbag. Yeah,
It's all part of the experience.
It is.
And it's funny you say, like, you could be in Maui, because I kind of... So, it's funny. I love the seasons changing, and I think we talked about this a little bit last episode. But I remember this past summer, I found myself during those, like, dog days of heat, you know, extremely hot, stuff like that. And I was like...
Last year was a real dog day. Like, it rained like 15 days the whole year.
But
Last year was an interesting
I can
summer.
take myself out of that and
Yeah.
and be and put myself in the state of Halloween, in the state of Christmas, in the state like these aren't concepts that are held together solely by linear time. These are feelings, emotions that we tap into of, you know, nostalgia, and what we're accessing all the time is really we're just accessing our memories.
And a frequency that contains the memory.
And we're calling this a new experience because we're at a different point in the linear stage and process, and we haven't lived this exact moment, you know, other than now. And so it's funny when you go into these memories and you channel something like that and you allow yourself to be in that moment. Well, you can look in this on the flip side and see the exact same power of this in any aspect of life, you know, especially like a moment of suffering or a moment of pain.
My first 2 marriages.
Well, yeah, you know, you can relive the feeling of that sensation. No, but you know what I mean? You truly can relive pain any moment, and that's what people are doing is they're carrying around these memories of past trauma, suffering, and they're reliving it, literally, and their body doesn't know any different.
Yeah.
And they're experiencing it as if it was happening in that moment.
Yeah.
And to see it on its face, what it's doing, and knowing that you have the ability to do that with a feeling such as Christmas or Halloween at any point in the year, and you can access these same memories, you start to see the game for what it is. And you're like, whoa. This whole concept of reality is actually just a concept of my mental state. It's a concept. It's a mind-created world.
Yeah, it's actually like being on a movie set. When you actually go into a studio movie set, it's a lot. It literally is a lot. But when you're filming or you're actually watching the film, it felt like you were all over the place. But all they do is they change the setting in the background. So they can make it look like you're in an apartment. Then they can make it look like you're outside. Typically, if you are...
Hence your couch or Maui.
Yeah. And typically, if you are outside, they will shoot in those locations, especially now. But yeah, you could be in a 5-star hotel or a dingy apartment. It's the same lot. And maybe even the same stage, but the setting then changes. So they rearrange the furniture, the background, they roll it all in. So if you actually see a movie set, it looks like when I was a little kid, like my sister had a dollhouse that you opened up in order to get into it. So you would actually see everything from that standpoint.
Like the floors.
Yeah, you see
that was
exactly.
cool.
You see the floors.
No, those old school ones
Yeah.
are cool. I know exactly what you're talking about, where they open up and you can see the different levels of them.
Yeah, and that's kind of... kind of how life really is. So we're the ones who get this to change the setting of the stage and everything else through our thought process or mind, or how we look at it, perceive it. And then what we do is, when we like it, we get set, then we could actually invite people into our world. You don't fight for it. You don't tell them this is the only way to live. Like, that's just preposterous. And everyone's fighting for their own set. I'm like, yeah, you can, each make your own movie, each make your own television series, however you want to look at it, and invite people in to watch. But don't make them seem like this is the only way to live. That's just ridiculous. Because I don't want to be stuck to the lot I'm in either. I want to keep changing the scene and the set. But that's the control we have, the perspective. But everything else then is just laid out. We actually interact with the set. So if I pull out this beautiful couch, put it on the set, beautiful drapery, all of a sudden I act like I'm highly sophisticated and I'm on top of the world. In the next scene, I could put a dingy couch with rips on it, old musty blinds, and I come into set and I act as if I'm there. Now, one isn't better than the other. It's just a different frequency range. Either one could win an Oscar. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's the brilliance of it. But what we find ourselves doing, what I personally found myself doing over time, is sitting on the dingy couch trying to make it like I was in, the Waldorf Astoria. It's very difficult from that point. So therefore, you have to close your eyes and then generate a frequency. And what happens, then you find yourself in the Waldorf, so to speak. But you have to know it's possible. But trying to convince people when you're in this like 400 square foot apartment that you're living in the Waldorf,
So I love where you're going with this, because I
have no idea where I'm going.
Well, no, this is how this is where we get caught up. This is where it becomes difficult, and this is where people say this doesn't work. Is that stage? I'm doing this. And
the answer is this doesn't work, and the answer is you're exactly right.
That's
based on that belief.
But it's weird. It's a trying when there's nothing to try for because it's already there. But so one way that I kind of look at this too is I'm going to try to create a linear example of this. It's like you have been. It's like you're told now. Like I'm holding up a piece of paper. I wish I had an example, and I could draw this, but picture a blue, square, okay? And we tell you now, okay, this shade that you're looking at is actually red. Well, you've been ingrained, through schooling, through projections, through media, through all of this, that this color that you're seeing is blue. And Frank and I are saying this is red. This is kind of the experience of reality that you need to break through and see that the mind has been trained to see things as this ought to happen this way, this needs to happen this way in order for this to. It's all a conditioning. It's all a something that has been ingrained in us. And so when you can see that a shade is not necessarily a color, and that it is a imprint that your mind has been, trained to see over the years and assign a meaning to, it's like that's where the difficulty is. And at least for me to kind of explain, the difficulty is we're telling you that this color here is actually red. Yeah. And we've been trained to see it blue. So these concepts that Frank and I are going into.
Yeah, and those are subconscious programs.
Take a little bit of working with. And then they start to, then that color, when it comes up, you're like, oh, red.
Well, it's kind of like.
Oh, red. Yeah. It's like finding something new that's always been there.